Good evening, Eve players. DNSBLACK here. This is installment number 2 for my video blog as we lead up to the CSM election. Got some really great questions that hit my CSM post in the candidacy section on the forums. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you check out the candidates, and we got to get the vote out. I know it's quite an overused term, but we really got to take advantage of having the opportunity to have a player base, out there talking to and working with the devs of this game to make sure that the integrity of the game remains the same. So I want to address one question that hit my post there on the forums. I think it's great. It was graced by Jester at Ripper Tag, who is currently a seat holder in this CSM and a cornerstone of the EVE Online community for bringing up a lot of unique and interesting subjects. The latest one is the nature of EVE, the culture of EVE that he's writing about, and his current EVE 24 news article that's out there addresses some interesting exchanges that took place in local and involving scamming and different things like that. And I think it's a great article to read. I'm looking forward to the second installment on it. But he asked some direct questions on my CSM forum post, and I want to get to those. So, without further ado, the first question he asked: do I agree with his assessment that the culture of EVE is all about humiliating and it's getting worse, and the players of the game, are different than when we first started playing the game? I'll address that plain and simple. No. It's quick, easy. No. The culture of EVE, the one thing is it's consistent. We're human beings that are acting like human beings, but in a virtual world that's 20,000 years or whatever it is. It's the true stories of EVE. Human nature is consistent. You can go back throughout history and you could see human nature repeat itself over and over and over again. So we're no different. We're human beings, and the culture of EVE has remained the same. The difference is the exchanging and the rate that we get information. A lot. EVE is in that same category. When I first started playing the game, there was no EVE 24 news. There was no thematani.com. There weren't these places for a lot of EVE social media as we have now. So we're just more exposed to a lot of the culture of EVE that's existed from the beginning. So it's pretty much relative. I had all my stuff taken from me when I first started playing the game. Didn't stop me from playing. It's something, I don't want to call it a rite of passage, but it's just something that takes place in this game, because the devs, the one thing that when you look at how they created this, the one thing we need to really police is maybe not the culture, but maintaining the integrity of the sandbox and making sure that the devs don't over-police because of their business model. Because what they've captured, the lightning in the bottle, is that human nature playing a virtual world in space 20,000 years later. If they over-police it, if they try to legislate and create enough rules to govern morality, then you're going to begin seeing this lose its edge. You're going to see that lightning begin to go away. So, no, the culture of EVE, I think, is the same as when I first started playing the game. It's because it's human nature. Go read the book Lord of the Flies. Human beings are always going to go to the lowest common denominator. And somebody shared with me the statement, evil will always triumph when good people don't stand up and do the right thing. I know that's a quote, but it was something that just stuck with me, because EVE's no different. Where somebody might get scammed and lose everything, I see opportunity to maybe recruit a human being and coach them up and bring them in and help them be a member of my corporation, or be a person that recognizes good. But if those evil things aren't happening, then what am I really? So it's that black and white area that you need to you're going to pick a side as a human being, not based upon the rules of the game, but based upon who you are as a person. And CCP can't govern that. That's why this game is so unique. So that's why. Let the players decide. Now, there are taboo items, and your article speaks to those taboo items and some of the things that are being said in local. I have, in my real life as a chief steward over the last 6 months, I've dealt with the issue of suicide. I have. I had a coworker that I've worked side by side with, rode in the same truck for 14 years, fight that battle. And as chief steward, I was the person that was standing between him and those decisions, and doing as much as I can to intervene and have intervention, and working with the organization that employs me to make sure that we did everything we could to make sure that this, that what I feared would not happen. Well, so I'm very, and I want to hesitate just a second. When it comes to things like talking about suicide, it has to be taken seriously, at all costs. It's just something that I don't care if it's a gaming company, I don't care if it's a human being. When you hear those words and going through what I experienced, you've got to do what it takes to make sure that you do everything you can to make sure that the end result doesn't happen. And the guys online that I talk with, my friends, I would share with them, and I got a lot of coaching from a lot of great human beings on that subject matter. So when I read Ripper's article, it saddened me, and I don't want to go too much onto that because it's important to get back to the exchange that was taking place. It was happening in local. So let's identify some of the problems for newer players. Let's identify some of the things that are happening in the game, because I want newer players to come into the game, because the nature of EVE, and who we are, there's a slow, steady growth clearly shown. People keep joining and playing the game. They keep coming back and trying again and trying again. So that's the one thing that is really very attractive as a company for CCP, but it's also very attractive for people in the sandbox. So as we look at that exchange, all right, do I think that's any different than some of the exchanges I've seen out there? Yes. The differences that have to happen for that exchange are this. One, can we do things to develop a culture for newer players to come into, so that these mistakes don't happen? No. But what we can do is we can begin to have a better information session, and CCP needs to do more along the lines of addressing the human nature of the game during the tutorial. I mean, we got a great learning experience on how to play the game. Okay, great. Let me rephrase that. All right, I try to do the tutorial. There are some... this game... Oh, my God, I'm all over the map on that. But anyways, the tutorial. All right, so you got a tutorial that teaches you how to play the game. You've got a terms of service, and you have a EULA, all right? But what you do not have is, during that tutorial, a part of it talking about the human side of the game. That's pretty important. So, the one thing I do first, my fix, and how I would begin the process of maybe creating a bridge and finding a balance is, local is not turned on by default. Local is something that each player has to choose while playing the game to turn on. All right? Now, that begins in the tutorial. So as a person is going through the tutorial, all of a sudden it comes out to, all right, well, let's see who's in local. And the minute they walk you through that process, you click turn on local, and boom, local comes up. Local's a great tool. We use it. It's used for intel. It's used for all kinds of things. It is a free a non-skilled trained part of the game that everybody gets, but it has to be a choice by each player. Once they click on, oh, I want to see local, up comes a video tutorial, and it's one of our great CCP devs or CCP going, whoa, 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 stop. Let's talk about local, and let's talk about a little bit of the culture of Eve and what you're about to dive into. We got a great spaceship game, but the human side of the game is a very competitive environment. So I'm not saying give away the scams and all the things you guys do. I think those are awesome. But what I am saying is CCP has a responsibility to make sure that those newer players coming into the game get an understanding what local's about. And also they need to address the terms of service that we know they all blew through. They never read it. And those specific sessions talking about those taboo items that you don't want to talk about in local, or you might, suffer some consequences. Maybe it being turned off, so on and so forth. All those things that CCP goes through. So giving good instruction and making local a choice. Now, whether they go through the tutorial, but anytime they activate that local, all right, whether it's a new player that says, I don't need to do the tutorial, that being me, when I activate local, that needs to be informed. They need to be drawn to the terms of service in the EULA to understand they have a responsibility as a human being not to cross that line. Because when they cross that line, that's when the devs have earned the right to come into our sandbox and govern it and police it. So the article being written by Ripper, I think, is awesome. I think it's something that we need to address. I think there was a responsibility, and I'm going to speak specifically to it, Ripper. I think there's a responsibility on both those players' parts. One for crying wolf, the others for typing things that I know they'd never say to anybody's face. And they need to realize that when they do those things, our company, CCP, has to, and they're obligated to, we all are, to act on what was written. And make sure that the human beings that might have typed that are okay. So granted, again, I talked about, I don't know the legalese on all that stuff, but as a human being, I take it serious. And as a CSM member, I think we can grow our game. I think CCP can grow their company and their game of EVE Online. And I think there is a very good balance when it comes to your questions about the nature and the culture of EVE, and are we getting worse or getting better? I think we are exactly who we are. We're EVE players. We're competing, and we're striving to win and play the game at different levels. So, Ripper, I hope I answered your question. As a CSM rep, when I go to the table, I want to strike that balance. I want them to recognize the human side. I want them to do those things. And I don't want to tell them how to make the game. I just want to tell them that, or I don't want to tell. I want to share with them my experience as an EVE player and as a human being, and what the last set of tools they gave us into the sandbox mean, or what they've done, or how they've wrecked it, or how they made it worse or better. So, a great question, Ripper. Really appreciate you showing up, and at least challenging me, I think, on a subject that I'm probably the strongest at. And for all you EVE players that are watching the video, I appreciate you taking the time. I went a little long on this. My next ones I'm gonna try to keep to under 5 minutes, but I think this one was serious enough because I think it's been addressed over a number of times. Thank you very much. Gonna log on right now and go blow up some spaceships and get with my boys. We got some ops going tonight. And I'll see you in New Eden. By the way, come visit Curse. Love to see you down there. Bye.